if he has to rest, if he can't play until their playoff game, which might be still 4 weeks from now if they get the bye, like, Dominique, how concerned are you about him performing in the playoffs if he has that kind of layoff?
Yeah, I'm not very concerned. I think the most important thing for Jalen Hurts is to be healthy. This offense is predicated on its ability to attack you in a bunch of different ways, and one of those ways is design quarterback run. Right now, with his shoulder hurt, I think they're less likely to run those design quarterback runs, which does severely limit this offense. So the most important thing for me is to get him as healthy as possible, and if it takes him a quarter or so to get in the swing of things in that first playoff game, so be it. You don't want to go into a game without all of your potential weapons, and that big weapon that I'm concerned about is Jalen Hurts' ability to run the football.
Okay. Agree, he needs to be healthy. That's the number one thing. But counterpoint, a 34-day layoff is a very long time to me. And I would feel better if I see Jalen Hurts before the regular season ends. Maybe it's not this weekend, but week 18, I would feel better seeing Jalen Hurts just because of that long layoff. But again, we all obviously want him to be healthy. So if he can play, he's healthy enough, I think he should play.
So I think that we need to probably just sort of turn the question a little bit, right? Because obviously if he's not healthy, they're not going to play him, right? They're not going to force him into a game if he's not ready to play. But if they clinch the 1 seed, like if they win this week with Gardner Minshew and they have nothing to play for in week 18 and he is healthy enough to play, do you think there's value in him participating in that game?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a better question. I love how you're changing the
I'm doing it. She's holding it.
Much better question. No, there's absolutely value in Jalen Hurts playing not hurt, right? Playing healthy, just to get back into the rhythm with your offense. Get back to the rhythm, not just practice. Practice is one thing, but real game action, real game opponents, it changes things. And so there absolutely is value in Jalen Hurts playing if he's healthy. But if he's still injured at all, there's no point in playing. I don't care if it's a 1 seed, a 2 seed, a 7. I don't care what the seed is. You need him for the playoffs. You don't need him just to get a bye week. So that's the issue. If he's healthy, get him reps. If not, get him rest.
I do think how you pose that last one is the key there.
It's a better question, right? You said
I'm
been on fire with these questions. But here's what I think if week 18 doesn't matter, but he is healthy enough to play, I think you 100% play him. And I'm not saying you run him on a bunch of quarterback runs, and I'm not saying you play the whole game. But 34 days off, that was the thing for me. I said 5 weeks of not playing, 34 days off from the speed of the game, and then entering back into it with the magnitude of the playoff intensity and speed. I'd be really concerned about that. I think it would be hard at any position. I think that it's really difficult at quarterback, and the margin for error in playoff games is small. You can't afford a bad first quarter, like in some of these games. So that would concern me.
But why is it? Can I ask you? So why is it more important at the quarterback position?
Timing, anticipation, like the margin. Listen, the difference for a quarterback throwing an interception, could be a ball placement, 6 inches in difference, like things like that, or, on the back hip of somebody, outside the frame of his body that turns into a turnover, so to me, those things are concerning.
That's a great point.
So,
Dominique, final word on this for now.
You're wrong.
No, it's just all quarterback propaganda. Your position is not that important. It's not more important than everybody else. It's not more difficult than everything else. I think that Jalen Hurts will be fine. No, seriously, I understand the quarterback position. It matters, and the timing matters. But where I think I disagree with all of you is I think Jalen Hurts is healthy enough to play right now. The reason why they aren't playing him right now is because they've earned that luxury. So why throw in that luxury and then subject him to some more risk? I think they.
I don't know. That's a good question.
You think if they need it, so the game that he got injured in, he finished playing. If they were in the hunt to make the playoffs, I imagine Jalen Hurts would still play. So you're right. I'm not in the training room. I don't know how injured he is, but assuming based on the fact that he finished the game he got injured in, they would have kept him going. They've earned this luxury. So why not enjoy it? I'm in no rush to get Jalen Hurts back on the field. He's shown that if he has anything, it's like the mind of a quarterback and the mind of a football player that can overcome it. I think he'll be fine in the playoffs if they have to rest him.
did finish that game, but did not practice at all last week. We'll see what happens when they get out on the practice field this week, and we'll find out, hopefully, how healthy he really is. Dominique is suspicious.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.